So today I'd like to introduce you to Daniel Mora and Adrian Batia. Guys, if you want to go ahead and get started, take it away.
Hey, hello, I'm Arian, and Daniel's the one on the other one. Welcome to Mentoring FLL Teams.
Okay, so the first thing and biggest thing is the core values for FLL. And they're not just for FLL, they're also for FIRST. These six are the key aspects of what makes up FIRST itself and what you all want to strive to represent and show within your teams. If you don't mind going to the first ones.
Okay, so welcome to Innovation and Discovery. So innovation is defined as the use of creativity to solve problems. So every year, FLL will give you a real-life scenario based on the game's based on a real-life scenario. So, for example, last year, 2019 to 2020 season was cityscapes or city builders. So what happened in there was you were given building and your robot had to complete specific tasks around it. So since it was multiple tasks, you had to figure out as a team how to utilize your tools and figure out how to score the most points. So the next core value is discovery, which is where you explore new ideas. The entire concept of FLL is to test what you can imagine. So say you have a building and you need to put a flag on top of it. How do you use Lego parts and machines to get that flag and steadily put it on top of the building to score points? This is where you learn new ideas and move forward.
Okay, next we have inclusion. Everyone needs to be included some way or somehow. A first level league team is small. There's 6 to 10 people on any given FLL team. Many schools will have multiple FLL teams. Point is, everyone needs to be included. Like in City Shapers, maybe not everyone is gonna be hands-on with the robot, with the Lego Mindstormer. But everyone has a purpose to their team, whether they help out with the presentation for core values, they help out, with the actual part of the research project, or they find the robot and help test it there, and they're not necessarily competing straight up with the robot itself. Doesn't matter. Everyone has a purpose, and everyone will be included somehow in some way. That is one of the most important aspects, in my opinion, of the core values. Impact. Anything you learn can be applied. You learn a lot of different skills you will learn that you will use later on throughout FLL. That each team will each aspect you do, each thing you work on will help in the end impact what you learn, what you apply. So you learn problem solving skills with the robot tables. You have to learn to build a robot and to do the certain task. Like for City Shapers, there are multiple different tasks, including demolishing a building, going onto a bridge, etc. What your skills you develop there between learning and cooperating with each other will impact you in the long run eventually. Next up.
Okay, so our next core value is teamwork. So teamwork is working together is better than working alone. That is how FLL defines it. What it really means is that you need to work together with everybody. So as the saying goes, 2 heads is better than 1. So the entire purpose of the team is to bring out new ideas, new creations, to figure out how to solve one problem. With all the constraints, it's actually very hard to figure out how to fix all of it with just one person. So multiple perspectives bring in different solutions. So again, let's go back to the flag example. So your robot has to start in, let's say, a 6x6-inch cube. How do you get it to extend up to maybe 12 inches without it actually exceeding the start position? So this is where all those multiple ideas come in with teamwork. Okay, the next aspect is fun. You need to enjoy what you're doing, otherwise it doesn't really work out. Now, FLL, it's Legos. Everybody's probably grown up building with Legos, and it's one of the most fun things you did as a child. So the aspect, you need to enjoy what you're doing, feel what you're doing with friends. It's Legos, come on. Really fun to do.
Fun to play with,
Yeah.
fun to enjoy, and that's what makes FLL great. So the first aspect of FLL we're here to talk about as mentoring is the robot game, the tables, what everyone's here for. I mean, I say everyone, but the majority of people are here for playing with Legos, trying to focus. This is the main aspect. Your students will develop ways to build the robots and work together in many different ways to accomplish their tasks. For example, we have city shapers in this case with this one. So what you want to do with your as a mentor is you want to help the students out, whether it's where it's directly or indirectly. Directly, you can help out as a mentor by helping teach the kids how to, build the base robot, help them start to learn how to program it using the Lego Mindstorm software, whose name is slipping my mind right now. But yeah, you want to help them build it. You want to help them understand each aspect of the game because remember, the point of the robot game is to try to earn the most points you can out of any other team, and you have limited amounts of times you can go onto the tables per game per qualifier. So as a mentor, you want to help with them building the robot. There are FLLs both for middle school and elementary school. So like the elementary school kids will probably need the most help with this, while the middle school kids probably could be on their own, but it's always appreciated when they have extra help, extra people, an extra mind to help them understand what's going on. Because like it doesn't matter whether you win or lose, as long as the students are having fun in the end, building the robot, enjoying making it, competing, etc. It doesn't matter that you didn't get that far. As a mentor, you want to help them, you want to help them like the whole way there. Like say one of their attachments isn't working properly, what you can do as a mentor is help teach them and help them improve, as students to improve the robot itself to, be a better fit for the table. Like you don't want them to just have a plain mindstorm. You want them to create their own like unique robot that represents them, one as a team, but two also represents their creativity. You can also help them design the robot itself, which that's another aspect, and then you can also help discuss like each of the many objectives, because the FLL robot game doesn't just have one objective. They have probably at least 7 or 8 different objectives. But remember, you only have 3 minutes total, if I'm not mistaken. You have very limited time to accomplish that. So you want to help your students maximize their possible amount of points they can get. As a mentor, you can help them, by talking with the students what they want to do, what they want to go for, and help them in the practice areas because you have a long season to help them build and design the robot, play the game, practice, and practice more and more with the robot for competition day.
Yeah. So, before we move on, I would like to point out mentors, don't hold their hand the entire way. Just like nudge them in the right direction if they're stuck. Because in the long run, FLL is kind of helping them to solve problems on their own. So it's easier if you just nudge them in the right direction rather than doing it for them. So our next slide. So as a team, students are supposed to design a trifold poster and a presentation to present to a panel of judges. So normally the presentation is related to the game. What do you learn in order to build a robot? How does it help you understand the game better? So in a way, it's more of like a research project, and this component is really helpful in games because it can ensure that you either move on or just, slightly fail the game. So as a mentor, the presentation you need to help your students with because it is one of the more important aspects of the game. It's not the entire thing, but it will help in the long run. So just try and encourage them. So in the beginning, when the game first comes out, try and help them brainstorm ideas. So from there, once they brainstorm, help them select, go through the entire process. So just get a positive influence and encourage them to focus on different core elements. Next thing is to help them prepare the poster. So as a child, it's actually very hard to speak in front of other people that you don't know. So try and help them prepare for that. Make them more comfortable with speaking what they know. So go over the presentation every week, kind of like do mock trials, and then give them feedback. This is like the best way to help them improve their own speaking in the future, and it does help a lot with public speaking relations. So our next slide.
Right. Okay. So now let's take an example of the game. So this game can take both effect. Will help one with core values and two with the robot game. So we have a map right there in the bottom right of the the City Shapers game. So the objective of this game is to grow your city with more accessible and sustainable buildings. You'll have some of the cubes. Your kids will have these cubes that they have to build up and take to these different marked circles on the board, as well as different things like we have the bridge, we have the demolition building, we have the one where you have to lift the building up from after the accident happens. So you want to help them understand how each of these ones have different values to them and how they can use their skills they learned just practicing to do this. Because judges will be watching them not only one for their points, but two, they're watching them to see how well they're doing. As a mentor, you want to help, you don't want to necessarily have them piggyback on you. You want to be there as a supporting guide, as a guide, someone to help them with the game itself. So, like, you don't want them to, specifically tell them what to do. You want to, if they mess up, you're allowed to have your coach there with you. One coach is allowed to be there on the lines with you. So you want to be there for them in case anything goes wrong, anything happens. You just want to be a positive encouragement to them. You want to help them understand that it's okay if they mess up. It's not the end of the world. Literally, all that matters to them is that you're a good person to them. You're there for them in their ups and downs during the game. You just want to be the best person you can be as a mentor and as a guide to them. They want to look up to you. So what they learn now, they'll take later, whether they continue with FRC and FTC or that's the last of it. But the skills they develop in FLL through the core values, those will stick with them their whole lives. Employers like to see that. Teachers like to see that. You'll end up noticing that FLL students sometimes are the most respectful people, some of the most well-behaved people because they learned so much from their experience with the core values and just their sessions that they participated in.
Yeah, speaking from personal experience, a mentor that actually participates with the student is more beneficial than one that doesn't. So, for example, in my 2016 year, our mentor was barely there at all. We were just forced to go through it at our own pace. So in the end, we didn't get any awards. We didn't do anything successful. So that really hurt our performance in later years. But next year, I think 2017 year, we got a new mentor that participated with the students. So with that, we actually made it to nationals. So if you just participate and show them that, hey, you care about what they're doing, they're more likely to succeed. So let's talk about the research project of FLL. So now the research project is composed of three key elements. Identify the problem, it has to be related to the game. Two is designing the solution that would fix it. That's basically marketing the robot. And then three, sharing your ideas to refine it. At events, presentations are about 5 minutes or less, so think about when you want to put it down. You won't have a lot of opportunity to like ramble about. So if you're a mentor, try and teach them to be straightforward. Oftentimes, judges will like it if you tell them exactly what you mean rather than just kind of fluffing it up. So, yeah, try doing that. If you're a student and doing FLL, try and look at the judges because oftentimes when they're judging, they're looking to see your attitude. Stand up straight, look at them in the eye, and speak with confidence. If you don't have those and you want to develop them, just try practicing at home. Talk to yourself in the mirror, get your parents to sit down with you and talk to them, things like that. Hey, they help a lot, trust me.
Just some other things I want to point out with the research project. As a mentor, you can help them research them. You can you can help guide them towards what kind of point they want to make with the research to fill the goal, the prompt that they're given at the start of the season. You can help guide them towards, whether they want to go down one path or the other. And then you can help them, find sources, find more information, and also help them compile the information down. Because the biggest part about the research project is that, sure, they have a time limit, but they also have to do so much research about it, get the prompt down, figure out what to do, that the judges are going to walk around and see your poster, and then with these projects, they want to see that you put in the effort, that they put in the effort to research, that they want to see it well developed. As a mentor, you can help them with this. You can help them focus on what's important and what's not. You can help them refine their details, focus on the key elements while instead of getting distracted. Also, as a mentor, you can be there. You can act as a judge to them. They can present it to you in a mock presentation that they'll be able to, get used to the presentation. So like you can get them constructive criticism after their presentation, what they can do better, what they did good, what they did bad, etc. So that, they'll be able to have it ready by the time the competition happens. And if it doesn't go well in the first competition, remember, you have another competition. It's not the end of the world if you don't qualify on your first. A lot of teams don't qualify on their first, and they use their second. So as a mentor, in between those weeks, you can help them refine all their different aspects of the project itself. So they'll have experience already with one judge. So by the time they come to the next judge, the second time around, they'll be much more prepared for it. You'll be able to help them, and they'll be able to understand better how to do this presentation.
Just as a side note, again, FLL teams present as 4 people. So as a mentor, you want to kind of sort them because if one person speaks too much, judges don't like that. They want everybody to speak. They want to see that everybody knows the topic that they're talking about. So next slide.
All right, getting to know the team. Team incorporates 6 to 10 people, as I mentioned earlier. They're all students, so they're all interested in Lego or robotics. So getting to know the team is one of the greatest experiences you'll get to know as a mentor. Like seeing them grow up from from little bitty shy kids when they first come in to well prepared, fleshed out for when they move on to their next goal in life. Whether it's high school, FLL, FRC, FTC, etc. They'll remember these times, and they will remember you as a mentor if you've been a good mentor to them in the first place. So you definitely want to get to know your team a lot. You want to get to know, their strengths, their weaknesses, and see how you can, help them become a better team. Because every team should try to be well-rounded in the end. They have people who are good at talking, people who aren't that good, people are good at the robot, not so good. So you want to get to know what each kind of person does to become, so they can know, as a mentor, even as a coach as well, get to know where your students' strengths lies. Because so you have people who are good at robot but not so good at talking, then they can mainly be focused on the robot game aspect. Well, then instead, on the other hand, you can have students who are a little bit more, who talk well and who have better understanding of this. They can move towards the robot presentation or the core values presentation. Because remember, small groups, your whole team can't be there. For a robot game, you can only have 2 students and a coach be there during it at a time. core values. Again, it's a small group of people, and then same thing with the research project. So you want to be, as a mentor, you want to divide your team up. You don't want to necessarily divide them whole entirely, but you want to know what's good for your team, like what each student does good, what each student does bad, and be able to be there for them, be able to help them, get to know them as a team, watch them grow and expand each season as time goes on. Because remember, they what they learn now will carry on with them forever, and you want to be there for them at any time.
Yeah. So again, if your students are having a bit of trouble cooperating, you want to fix that as soon as possible, because if the team can't trust each other or doesn't get along, it's going to really hurt your chances of winning and succeeding. And eventually, if they do lose, they might contribute that to arguing and they might not cooperate even further. So if you see any sort of conflict, try and fix that immediately and as soon as possible. So involvement outside the team. Now, there are many ways to get involved with First LEGO League. So first of which is to volunteer at any competition in your local area. This actually helps a lot for judges and event organizers, because volunteers, you can never have enough of them. There are lots of things to do. You need extra judges, people to set up the field, all things of sorts like that. So please just volunteer and help out. Next is to spend some time mentoring different teams. Uh, don't settle down with just mentoring one team. Try and get at least 2 and 3, so you see how each team operates and what ideas you get from one you can apply to the next. So let's say you get idea to work together on one robot from team A, and you can apply it to team B, which is working on 2 separate robots. Next way is to start an FLL program at an elementary or middle school if it doesn't have one. This is relatively simple. Just go to administrators or local uh, organizers and just ask for permission to set up a team, and they'll be just good to go. Finally, just help out with fundraising for the team. This isn't really all that hard. You can set up any number of organizers like bake sale, fundraisers, or cookies door to door. Other than that, it's not very hard. Okay, so we have a question in chat. Do you know if we can volunteer for FLL events this year? Will they be in person or virtual? Okay, so for FLL, the game just got released. So currently, we don't know if it's going to be in person or virtual. But mentoring,
Right.
a lot of people are doing virtual mentoring. So students can just get in calls and you can teach them about the processes and what to do. So if by chance they do start build season, they already have ideas on what to do and you can expand on that.
Right. And if your team is in person, then you can always join them in person, no matter what. We don't know. It's still too early to determine whether FLL competitions will be in person or virtual right now at the moment, or whether they're pushed back. But if you can, just either way, it will be, you still will be able to volunteer, whether it's virtual like this, like with the symposium, or whether it'll be in person again. It's still hard to determine with the whole coronavirus situation still on hand until we get a cure. I'm still holding out hope that we may still be seeing in person, but I would say just keep checking the first website like once a month when it comes closer to competition time to see. On top of going back to what you said, sorry, go ahead.
I would suggest that if you're a mentor already, try and do some virtual classes. So just get all of your students or team members together and just discuss this year's competition game, because I'm pretty sure they've already released the manual and game design for that. So the earlier you start brainstorming, the better it'll be when you go in season.
Yeah, okay, so now going back to what you had mentioned earlier with the slide, competitions, they are always looking for more volunteers, because they're like everyone who's either judged robot tables, we're all volunteers here. whether you're a former FRC member, you're a current FRC, former FLL alumni. They're always looking for people to help volunteer. And remember, you can always form more connections to help your team in the end by volunteering at these competitions. People will start to know you better as you can volunteer more and more. That you'll have more connections eventually. Some of these connections can help you, get more mentors, get more people who can help your team in the end. But yeah, another thing, yeah, mentoring different teams is a great thing. Whether it's there are 3 different teams at your school or like 3 different schools in your local area. They're all FLL students, no matter what, in the end. So anything that you can take from one can always be applied to the other, and so on and so forth. That it honestly helps getting different ideas, different perspectives from each different, team. And if your school doesn't have one, normally go talk to them. Try to see if the teacher will help you start a program there, because there are probably people who are interested or who have never heard of it, and then once you start seeing that they start seeing that a new team is being formed, you'll get more people interested in FLL. Like I know personally, my middle school's had it for about, I want to say 7 years now. They started, sorry, not 7, sorry, 5 years. Started in my 8th grade year. We started an FLL team there, and now my cluster's program has expanded on from just being 2 middle school teams. So we have a 3rd middle school team, and each of my elementary schools in the cluster have their own team. In such few years, people will be starting more teams, and you will see more and more people starting FLL teams, FLL programs at each school. That people want to help more and more. That everyone needs help. Everyone wants to have fun in doing this. It's honestly great if you can help start more and more programs expanding out in your local areas.
Okay, next slide. So please get involved today. It helps any way that you do get involved. Whether you're a mentor, student, or volunteer, judge, it doesn't matter. FLL is actually a great opportunity because you build so many contacts, and students eventually learn that you're part of their community and they'll recognize you. So as Daniel said, the more that you recognize, the better it is for students and for volunteers, because eventually leadership positions, those are very rare in more community-based clubs. So once you get recognized in FLL, you can eventually start your own team and such like. Other than that, I think if Daniel has anything to say, sure.
Honestly, just get involved in any way you can, whether it's just directly as a coach or a mentor, or just coming in to help the students every once in a while. They'll appreciate it. They'll see your effort, and it's great to see so many people be interested in, doing FLL, doing FIRST in general, that we want to expand this program more and more. Look, seeing your commitment to be here and today is already great enough. It's already great that we want to see more people, help out with FLL, help out, it goes a long way, starting with kids in FLL, starting more teams. It'll eventually spiral out somewhere, this program is such a great program in general. I've been blessed to be a part of this for past, I did FLL 1 year in middle school, and then I've been doing FRC for the past 2 years, and it is one of the greatest things I've ever been a part of. Honestly, keep participating in stuff, keep being a great help to students everywhere, and I think that's it for me.
Okay. I think we're done with our presentation. So if you have any questions, please put them in the chat now, and we will try our best to answer them.
Well, Daniel and Arian, fantastic job. Thanks for presenting today. And we'll close out the session a little early if there's not any questions. I don't see any popping up in the question box. Just a reminder that you can go to your next session by visiting the Georgia First page in the email that you received through Eventbrite. And I'd like to thank our presenters and thanks for everybody that attended today, and thank you for volunteering to help with First. Enjoy your next session. Thanks, guys.
Thank you
for listening.